Lindsey Graham, U.S. Senator, is here with Reza Pahlavi, the opposition leader for Iran, the Mossad, CIA, Western-backed leader of Iran that wants to be reinstated as the new leader of Iran. This is kind of the Western puppet that they have in place. Was meeting with Lindsey Graham, and the interview, the total interview in of itself is quite something to listen to. So I'm just going to play a short clip of it, and let's discuss it.
Senator Lindsey Graham here with Crown Prince.
Had it speed up just a little bit because they talk kind
I
of
have
slow.
followed you, your passion, the way you articulate the hope of your people. It will be up to the people of Iran to pick their next leader. I can't wait till they have a chance to do that. But you have really risen to the occasion. Compelling narrative for the long-suffering people of Iran. And I believe with all my heart that help is on the way.
Senator, thank you so much for all your words of support for my compatriots.
And it's really just a lot of thanking. They have "Make Iran Great Again" hats that they show off here at the end.
Terrorism on the planet. They have American blood on their hands, and the people protesting in the streets could be our best friends. God bless them.
So, for those who don't know, this is Reza Pahlavi. Let me find some photos of him. This is the guy right here. I searched up photos that you guys can see of him at the Western Wall, just to kind of give you a glimpse of what this guy's all about. That's kind of the vibe you're gonna get with that guy. This would also be a great time for me to just pop up my disclaimer here. There we go. So, that's kind of the vibe that they want to put in place. Now, what I will say is that 31% of Iranians, at least from the latest poll that I saw, I believe it was a Pew Research Center poll that I saw. So I see the poll as relatively credible. 31% within Iran are in support of him. So definitely less than the majority. I'm not sure what those numbers are now, but that's kind of what the latest poll said. And that poll, I believe, was taken, September of 2025, so a few months back. What I will say is the loudest voices in support of him are Jewish Iranians that represent less than 1% of the total Iranian population. It's a community of 10,000. The population of Iran is in the dozens of millions. So very, 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 very small, but very, 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 very loud minority expressing support for this man. And he's the opposition leader now. Former CIA officer John Kiriakou had this to say about him, which I thought really kind of exemplifies how people really feel, especially within kind of U.S. intelligence circles as well. So take a listen to this.
Let's break it down. So Reza Pahlavi is the son of the Shah of Iran, who was thrown out of Iran in early 1979, February of 1979. Came into exile briefly in the United States. That led to the Iran hostage crisis. Then we forced him out to the Bahamas, and then to Panama, and then to Egypt, and he died in Egypt. Reza Pahlavi is the son. He was a young guy when this happened. He was, a teenager. Well, now he's in his 60s, and he's never been to Iran since the 1970s. He's also something of a playboy in the Washington area. He's not a player in Iranian exile circles, but he seems to have a whole lot of money. Well, over the last couple of weeks, several things have happened. Number one, the Israeli government spilled the beans, and they admitted that they have been financing him. He would be the person that the United States would announce is going to be, the guy that we're interested in. And Trump said, no, he's not interested. I'm going to give you my own admittedly biased view. My own view is Reza Pahlavi is a joke. He's a caricature, a cartoon character. He lives in a mansion all by himself in Potomac, Maryland. Nobody pays any attention to him except these really rich Iranian exiles, most of whom are in Beverly Hills. The only people who really, really want him to be the leader of Iran are the Israelis. I'll add one other thing.
So, John Kiriakou is awesome, by the way. I actually did email him today asking to get him on my podcast, on my YouTube channel. So fingers crossed he actually responds. We'll see. But anyways, the guy, that's kind of the consensus. That's kind of the consensus for anybody that's actually taking an honest assessment of the situation, just a geopolitical assessment, and then just honestly what's going on within the country, what's going on social media, the social media bubble that the Mossad is kind of forming. Everything you see on X now, every single thing you see on X now moving forward up until the United States commits airstrikes on Iran, which it seems like that's kind of where we're headed. Everything up in between then and now is basically just going to be a propaganda bubble. And you should just assume that when you're on social media, you are seeing full-time propaganda. You really can't tell the difference between who's a real person and who's a bot. I mean, just yesterday, I've done a video on all of these Israeli firms that create bot accounts where you truly can't tell the difference. They've had these bots that are 10 years old, like 10-year-old accounts. They have the same name for Facebook, Instagram. They have an entire social media profiles across different network on across different platforms. You really can't tell that they're not real people. So it makes it really hard when you're going on social media. You're seeing so many different people saying so many different things, and they might be amplifying something that's actually not as big as it seems. Who's to say? What we do know for a fact is he's a Mossad-backed puppet that they'd really like to see in place. We'll see if within Iran he would actually be able to get enough support to actually lead the country. The guy hasn't been there since the 70s. Who's to say? So that's really everything I have to say there. There was one more thing from here I did want to share with you guys. Actually, I'm just remembering now.
As I said, the guy is a non-entity in Washington. He's a non-entity even in Iranian exile politics. But the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos and is the mouthpiece of the 1% of the 1%, ran an op-ed last week that Reza Pahlavi wrote.
Oh, that's what I want.
And he said that he wanted to go back to Iran to usher in a period of democracy. Like, what do you know about democracy? Your father was a fascist dictator who slaughtered his own people and who stole billions upon billions of dollars from the nation's treasury. So you think it should be you who goes back to Iran after 50 years and brings in a period of democracy? Come on, I'm insulted by that. So yeah, this guy's not going to be, I made a comment today kind of offhandedly, and the more I think about it, the more I believe it to be true. He wouldn't survive the walk from the plane to the terminal if he were to fly back to Iran. So he's not going to be the next leader of Iran. And yes, this is the CIA Mossad playbook for regime change. Yes, resist it.
So, I mean, there you go. He's saying it pretty out in the open. And it makes you think, if he's just saying this so out and brazenly, and actually, I do 100% agree with him. I don't think he would actually make it out of the plane. I truly don't think he would make it out of the plane. Having 31% support in the country, that the United States is trying to destabilize. God knows what's going to happen if there is a regime overthrow. The country is not going to be stable whatsoever. There's going to be a massive power vacuum. And you think a guy with 31% support in the country is going to be able to fill that massive power vacuum, while now there's ISIS running around rampant in Iran because the United States armed ISIS to go ahead and overthrow the regime? People don't recognize that when Iran's regime is overthrown, if and when it happens, the United States, there's a problem now. There's a huge problem now, is that these rioters that have weapons have U.S. weapons that the United States gave them, has been giving them the past few weeks, especially to cause destabilization in the country. They're not just going to go poof and disappear after the regime is overthrown. They're still there. These are psychos that cut people's heads off. These are truly extremists, backed by the Mossad, backed by the CIA. After the regime is overthrown, you think they're just going to go back to Afghanistan and go back to Pakistan and everything's going to be fine and dandy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's going to be a massive power vacuum. And then you're going to install a guy that has 31% support. That's really generous saying 31%, but let's just say 31% support in a country where there's now ISIS rampant because the United States was giving these people arms for the past few weeks to overthrow the previous regime. And that guy's going to stay in power. Are you kidding me? Also, remember this. What happened 20 minutes to the dot after Bashar al-Assad was overthrown? Israel went on an airstrike campaign, massive airstrike campaign. Doing what? They took out every single military installation in Syria. Syria is a naked state. Naked state. There's no fighter jets, gone. Every single Russian missile defense system, destroyed. Every single intelligence building, gone. Nothing. It's a naked state. The guy, Jolani, puppet, can't do anything. So now, if this happens, you think that Israel would not end up striking every single military asset, every single fighter jet in Iran immediately after the regime is overthrown? After the regime would be overthrown, Israel would see it as the perfect opportunity to bomb the hell out of every single military installation in Iran, while the Western media is too busy talking about how the Iranians are now celebrating and have freedom. While the Iranians are celebrating and have freedom, and you're seeing all of these photos plastered on the New York Times, Israel's going to be going on a massive air raid, bombing every single military installation. Iran would then become a naked state, fully naked state. And you would have ISIS running rampant because the United States just spent all this money giving them weapons, giving them grenades, giving them ammunition. And now you have a naked state like Iran that's been overthrown with all of these running ISIS people running rampant. They can't even protect themselves. And then you want to install a guy with 31% support that hasn't been to Iran since the 70s. And that guy's supposed to lead, and all of a sudden now Iran is going to be stable, and people are going to have freedom, and women are going to run off without their hijabs, and everything's merry dandy. That's what you guys think will happen. Yet this is the exact same thing. It's like Iraq, it's like Syria, it's like Libya, and the people still eat this up. You'll see these damn people protesting in Los Angeles. I want people to have freedom. I'm saying this as a Palestinian. I think I would want all people that seek self-determination and freedom to have it. Absolutely. Not when it's backed by the West. I'm sorry. I love the West for everything it's giving me. I love living in America, but I'm also not naive. This former CIA officer isn't naive either. You would have to be very naive to think that the West actually is doing these regime change operations for the benefit of the people that live there. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not just the West, no government would. No government would. They're doing it because there's an incentive to it. All right, so these people right now that are celebrating, they're trying to overthrow the regime, and they want the United States to bomb Iran, just like those Venezuelans wanted the United States to bomb Venezuela, and then they were celebrating. You think it's going to end up working out when there is no viable alternative? That guy is not a viable alternative. Reza Pahlavi, the guy who's kissing the freaking Western Wall, is going to be the viable alternative. Iran is like 99% Muslim. You think they want to deal with a guy that's just making out with the damn wall again? Another damn puppet kissing the damn Western Wall? You think that's going to be the one that they want to elect in a 99% plus Muslim country? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So what would happen? It would be a very fractured state, and there's gonna be a fight to fill the power vacuum. And guess what? Guess what? Do you think the United States would just dip if there's a power vacuum? Maybe Trump just wants to dip so that way he could say that he's never put US troops in Iran, and he could just give himself a pat on the back. Or maybe not. Maybe the United States is going to be like, well, you know what? We don't want ISIS flags flying around Iran, which could happen if we dip and we create a power vacuum. So maybe we should have a few thousand US troops in Iran after we overthrew this regime. And then maybe everything is going to be fine. We'll just have a few thousand US troops there, and that's going to be good. And how long is the US occupation going to last? God knows. How many US troops are going to die? God knows. But we did it for Israel. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters, right? There's no sense of there's really no logical thinking about any of this. They don't really think about the consequences when all of this happens. They're just kind of doing it. I really don't think anybody's thinking about the consequences, including the people that are begging their country to get bombed by the United States, just like the people in Venezuela. That's not, I'm all for people wanting regime change in their countries with a democracy, with freedom of expression, but when you're going to create a power vacuum and you don't have an opposition that's strong and powerful, how are you going to fill that power vacuum without psychos coming in and taking their place? I don't know. You tell me. So that's really it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up if you found this video interesting. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.